Picture the sweltering heat of Taos County, New Mexico. It is the afternoon of Thursday, June 26, 2025, and you are standing outside this quiet rural property, and the summer sun is just baking the earth.
Oh, yeah. It gets incredibly hot out there.
Right, just oppressive. And the only sound you hear is the pacing of the family's highly protective dogs. They're just roaming the yard completely alone, which, for this particular family, is an immediate glaring red flag.
Yeah, that's not normal for them at all.
No. So you step inside the house, and it is just eerily still. And sitting right there, abandoned on the kitchen table, are basically the essential anchors of this woman's life. You've got her keys, her work ID badge, her purse, and this delicate gold chain that she wore around her neck every single day.
It's really like looking at a still frame from a movie. I mean, these are the artifacts of a life that has just been abruptly and inexplicably paused.
Exactly. So today, our mission in this deep dive is to explore one of the most baffling mysteries in recent history. We're looking into the vanishing of a 40-something-year-old mother and administrative assistant named Melissa Casillas.
And it's quite the rabbit hole.
Oh, it really is. We've spent days poring over this massive stack of sources for you guys. We've got police case files, detailed timeline reconstructions, and, witness testimonies. But I have to warn you before we step any further into this house, just when you think you have this mystery solved, the evidence is going to pull the rug right out from under you.
It absolutely will, because every time a piece of physical evidence suggests one narrative, the digital footprint just violently contradicts it.
Right.
The sources we're looking at, they clash at almost every single turn. It's the absolute definition of an investigative mirage.
Yeah, mirage is the perfect word for it. So let's actually trace Melissa's steps that morning, because the chronological timeline of June 26, it starts falling apart before the sun is even fully up.
Which is crazy to think about.
Right. So from the case files, we know Melissa and her husband, Mark, commute together every day to the Los Alamos National Laboratory. And it's this grueling drive, over an hour away. They leave early, Melissa's behind the wheel, and she drops Mark off at his building at around 6:15 a.m.
But she doesn't go to her office.
No.
Wow.
Instead of going to her own desk, she turns the car around and drives an hour and 15 minutes all the way back home.
And this is really where the deceptive groundwork begins.
Oh, totally.
Because when she gets back to Taos, her 18-year-old daughter, Sierra, is just waking up. And Sierra is obviously confused to see her mom standing in the house.
Yeah, she's supposed to be an hour away at work.
Right. So Melissa tells Sierra, I forgot my security badge. I had to come back for it. But Mark's official statement completely shatters that excuse.
Wait, how so?
Well, he told investigators that he physically watched Melissa hand her badge to the security guards at the Los Alamos checkpoint that very morning.
Wow. Okay, so she is actively lying to her teenage daughter just to free up her schedule. And to add to that deception, the files show she emailed a coworker saying she'd be late because of a family emergency involving Sierra.
Which is another fabrication.
Right. So she is meticulously clearing her day. But, why?
And that's the friction point of the morning, because this quiet, calculated erasure at home, it completely clashes with how she acts out in public just a couple of hours later.
Oh, the coffee shop footage.
Yeah. At 12:56 p.m., Melissa is captured on a security camera dropping off a sandwich for Sierra at the local coffee shop where Sierra works, and the footage it's visceral.
It really is.
Melissa pulls her white sedan into a handicap spot, coming in so incredibly hot that the front of her car slams hard into the concrete parking block. The entire chassis of the sedan violently shakes.
I saw that in the reports. But then she just backs up, puts it in park, gets out, and casually hands Sierra her lunch, along with, a paycheck to deposit.
Yep.
It's a staggering contrast.
Yeah, it reveals a massive internal adrenaline spike, right? Slamming into a concrete barrier suggests someone whose mind is just a million miles away. They're operating in this state of high anxiety or panic.
Right, but she masks it with this outward composure just to deliver a sandwich.
Exactly.
So she sends Sierra this totally mundane text message at 1:33 p.m. But by 3:33 p.m., things take a very dark turn. Sierra's texting her mom, and suddenly the texts start turning green.
Oh, man.
Right. For anyone with a smartphone, the instant dread of the green bubble. The phone is off. The location sharing has gone dead.
The digital lifeline is just severed.
Yeah. So Sierra rushes home, and that is when she finds the eerie scene we described at the top of the show. The dogs are outside, the keys are on the table. And to me, looking at the crime scene photos, it feels exactly like a magician's disappearing act.
What do you mean? Like where they intentionally leave all their props on the stage for the audience to find. Because why on earth would a woman leave her old cell phone, her brand new cell phone, her wallet, and her car, but she takes her toothbrush, her reading glasses, and exactly a 90-day supply of her thyroid medication?
Yeah, the selective packing is fascinating.
Yeah.
But the digital footprint, or, well, rather the sudden, violent absence of it, is the most chilling detail in those files.
Oh, completely.
Because when Sierra found those two phones left behind in the house, they weren't simply powered down. They were glowing with the factory reset welcome
He
screen.
wiped completely clean.
Yeah, and not just wiped simultaneously in a rush either.
Right, there was a timeline to it.
Exactly. Digital forensics show the old phone was factory reset at 8:02 a.m. while she was just hanging around the house. The new phone was wiped hours later at 1:38 p.m., practically the second after she sent that final text to Sierra.
Wow.
Furthermore, her entire iCloud backup was scrubbed from the servers. And we really have to pause and look at the sheer mechanics of that.
Yeah, break that down for us. You don't accidentally scrub an iCloud account in your pocket. It requires entering passwords, passing two-factor authentication, navigating deep into system menus, and deliberately hitting a button that warns you, you are about to destroy your own digital history. The intentionality required to execute that level of digital erasure is staggering.
It really paints a vivid picture of a woman executing a meticulous, cold-blooded plan to just simply walk away from her life.
It does.
But if the digital evidence suggests a clean getaway, the physical evidence discovered inside that house points to a much darker story.
Yeah, the timeline is about to violently collide with the physical crime scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's bring Mark into the picture. Mark gets a ride home from a coworker that afternoon since Melissa never came back to pick him up. Now, Mark is a hunter. He's a professional outfitter who guides clients through the rugged backcountry.
So he knows what to look for.
Right. His eyes are trained to track. He knows how to read disturbed land. The case files note that he immediately starts scanning his own property for signs of a struggle. But it is what law enforcement finds inside the house that completely sets off the alarms.
The boots.
Yes. Up near a fish tank in the living room, investigators find a pair of Mark's hunting boots. The mud on the soles is fresh, and sitting right next to those boots is a dried drop of what presumptive tests later flag as human blood.
Yeah, and for those unfamiliar with the term, a presumptive test is an initial chemical screening used at a crime scene. It basically reacts to properties found in hemoglobin.
Okay.
So it tells investigators, hey, this is highly likely blood, but we need to send it to a lab for absolute confirmation. And the presence of that presumptive positive completely shifts the investigative lens onto the husband.
I have to pause and push back on this, though.
Yeah.
Because as a listener, looking at the timeline we just built, how can law enforcement look at Mark for foul play when his alibi is seemingly ironclad?
It's a fair question.
I mean, his employer at Los Alamos confirmed he was over an hour away at work. His coworker confirmed giving him the ride home. And we literally have Melissa on high-definition coffee shop video at 1:0 p.m. bringing Sierra a sandwich.
Yeah.
The physical logistics dictate that Mark couldn't have done anything to her that afternoon.
Well, you're right. The physical logistics absolutely protect him from the afternoon window. But in a missing persons case, behavioral analysis becomes just as crucial as the timeline.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Mark's subsequent actions begin to severely cloud the investigation. Like when police ask him about those muddy boots, he claims he hadn't worn them in ages. He tells them there's a spider web inside the boot, which proves it.
Oh, right.
But investigators check, and there is no spider web.
None at all.
None. And then when pressed about the blood drops, the files show he gets highly agitated. He shuts the interview down and asks for a lawyer. Police are actually forced to pull a warrant just to search his phone.
Which is definitely a red flag.
Yeah, so even with a seemingly airtight alibi, his defensive erratic behavior, and getting caught in a strange lie about a spider web, it injects massive reasonable doubt into this situation.
Yeah, it really does. Because when physical evidence inside a house clashes with an ironclad alibi, it leaves this massive, suffocating vacuum of truth. And in the case's case, that vacuum fractured Melissa's family right down the middle, creating two warring factions.
It's a tragic textbook example of what psychologists call ambiguous loss.
Okay, what does that mean in this specific context?
Well, ambiguous loss occurs when a loved one is physically missing, but psychologically still present because there's no body and no closure.
Right.
The human brain just cannot process the lack of finality. Trauma demands an explanation, And when the police can't provide one, families often tear each other apart trying to build their own narratives just to make sense of the pain.
And we see that so vividly here. I mean, on one side, you have the case's household, Mark and his daughters, and they firmly believe Melissa crumbled under catastrophic pressure and ran away of her own volition. But on the other side, you have the Mandrions, Melissa's parents, her niece Jasmine, and the extended family. They suspect foul play. They point to allegations of Mark being financially controlling.
Right.
They also point to Sierra's volatile ex-boyfriend, Diego, who suffered a traumatic brain injury and had this documented history of making threats. And, to be completely clear to you listening, we're just looking at the source material here. Both of these family theories are deeply valid interpretations of a traumatic unknown.
Absolutely. And to understand why the Casillas side firmly believes she abandoned her life, we really have to examine the motive they present. And that motive is absolute financial devastation.
Oh, it's complete ruin.
Yeah.
The case files detail Mark uncovering that their checking accounts are overdrawn, swallowing any paychecks the moment they clear. Their savings are drained to pay back taxes.
It's just a nightmare.
It gets worse. There are a dozen active lawsuits for unpaid debts and business disputes. Their wages are actively being garnished. But here is the ultimate crushing blow. Because of this massive debt, both Mark and Melissa had their high-level security clearances at the Los Alamos National Laboratory officially suspended.
And in the world of national defense and high-level research, losing your clearance isn't just a pay cut or like an HR issue. It is a total loss of your identity and your entire career trajectory.
But how does bad credit cost you a security clearance? I think a lot of people might not understand that connection.
Right. It's a matter of national security.
Yeah.
When you hold a clearance at a place like Los Alamos, your financial health is continuously monitored.
Okay.
If you are drowning in debt, lawsuits, and garnishments, the government views you as a prime target for foreign espionage.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, an intelligence asset could approach a desperate lab worker and say, hey, we will pay off your house and make this lawsuit disappear if you just let us look at those schematics. The laboratory simply does not risk it. They pull your badge.
Wow. The psychological weight of that must have been absolutely crushing. And on top of it, the records show Melissa had just been rejected for a personal loan to pay for Sierra's beauty school tuition.
Financial devastation is one of the most powerful catalysts for a human being to totally reinvent their reality.
Yeah.
The shame, the panic, the feeling of letting your children down. I mean, it can push someone to either tragic self-harm or highly orchestrated disappearance.
Right.
But the friction that keeps the other side of the family suspicious is that Mark doesn't just present this financial motive and stick to it. He starts rapidly shifting his theories.
He does. He really starts spitballing. First, he tells investigators maybe she fled to Florida. Then he suggests Arizona. Then he floats this incredibly wild idea that maybe Melissa left so that in a few years, Mark could declare her legally dead and collect a massive life insurance policy to set Sierra up financially.
Which, understandably only made the Mandrions infinitely more suspicious. From their perspective, they saw a husband workshopping alibis and excuses rather than actually searching for his missing wife.
Yeah, it's a terrible look. But while the family is waging this bitter war over muddy boots and bank accounts inside the house, a camera outside the house captures a truth that upends everything.
The Highway 518 bombshell.
Exactly. So early in the investigation, a man named Lloyd, who personally knew the family, calls in a tip. He says he was driving down Highway 518 just a couple of miles from the Casillas house, and he saw Melissa staggering on the side of the road near a lurking old blue Dodge truck.
It's a huge lead.
Right. But Mark shuts this tip down almost immediately. He tells police it couldn't possibly be her because the sweater color the tipster described was wrong, and Melissa doesn't walk with a limp. And shockingly, the police just agree with the husband and move on.
Which is just a massive procedural failure. Law enforcement basically allowed the primary person of interest to veto an eyewitness physical sighting.
It's wild. Yet in a bizarre twist, Mark later takes it upon himself to retrace those exact steps. He goes out canvassing the area along Highway 518, asking businesses for their private security camera footage. And he hits pay dirt.
He really does.
He uncovers time-stamped video footage from 2:18 p.m. on the day she vanished. And the visual is stunning. Melissa is alive. She is not staggering. She is not limping. She is walking briskly, purposefully, right down the shoulder of Highway 518. She is completely alone. Her hair is pulled back, and she is wearing a small backpack.
It's undeniable. It's time-stamped proof of life 50 minutes after she sent that final text to Sierra and 40 minutes after her new iPhone was wiped to the factory settings.
See, this just throws my brain into a loop. It's like reading a locked room mystery, only to find out there's a giant hole in the wall. If she walked away voluntarily, fully packed, looking confident at 2:17 p.m., why did she leave a trail of messy lies all morning about forgetting her badge and having a family emergency?
Well, the 2:18 p.m. video is the culmination of the deceptive groundwork. You synthesize the lies to Sierra, the fake email to the coworker, the 1:38 p.m. phone wipe, the scrubbed iCloud servers, and the backpack. I mean, it heavily points to an orchestrated departure.
Okay, yeah.
She needed the morning clear to pack, and she needed the phones dead so she couldn't be tracked. But this video raises a haunting question. It proves that she walked away, but it completely fails to answer where she went or who was waiting for her just out of the camera's frame.
And that video of her walking down the highway is the very last concrete fact in these entire case files, because everything that follows in our sources is a rapid descent into baffling rumors, strange encounters, and full-blown conspiracy theories.
Well, as we discuss with ambiguous loss, an information vacuum never stays empty for long. The mind fills it with monsters.
That's a great way to put it. So let's follow a few of these strange threads, starting with a man named Rick Wild Valerio. A tourist takes a photo of this intoxicated man on horseback near a local church. The man is openly weeping, and he tells the tourist he was up in the rugged mountains searching and found his missing cousin's decapitated body.
Wow.
Right. Turns out, this man on the horse is Rick. He is not Melissa's cousin, but he does drive a blue Dodge truck.
Which is the exact make and color of the vehicle the initial tipster, Lloyd, mentioned seeing creeping near Melissa on the highway.
Exactly. But when police finally track Rick down to ask about the decapitation story, they essentially lob a few questions at him from behind a locked gate. He denies the whole thing, and the police just dismiss him as an intoxicated man seeking attention. Lead closed.
It's just a staggering lack of investigative curiosity.
Truly. Then you have the mysterious woman from Colorado. Out of nowhere, she drives 300 miles to the coffee shop where Sierra works, totally unannounced. She gives the 18-year-old a $50 high school graduation gift, insists on taking a photograph with her, and cryptically claims she has, quote, psychic abilities.
Oh, man.
Yeah. She tells Sierra she knows Melissa's fine, and that if Melissa ever truly left, she knows exactly where to find her. But months later, when reporters and podcasters track this woman down to ask about the encounter, she aggressively denies the visit ever happened. She claims she hasn't been to Taos since 2014 and doesn't even know Melissa or Sierra.
Even though Sierra, who has absolutely no reason to lie and protect this bizarre narrative, swears the interaction happened exactly as described.
Right. And finally, we have the darkest rabbit hole in the file, the Los Alamos connection. Melissa's name ends up on a circulating list of 11 scientists, researchers, and lab workers connected to highly sensitive U.S. technology who have mysteriously died or vanished in recent years.
Yeah, that list is unsettling.
It is. People like Anthony Chavez, a retired Los Alamos employee who walked out of his house leaving his wallet and keys and just vanished into the desert. Or Monica Raza, who vanished into thin air while hiking just 30 feet behind her companion.
And the overarching theory here posits that foreign intelligence or corporate espionage syndicates are actively targeting individuals with access to sensitive tech schedules and data. And given Melissa's suspended clearance due to debt, she really fits the profile of a vulnerable target perfectly.
Okay, I have to apply Occam's razor here, though. Aren't we getting completely lost in the noise?
How do you mean?
I mean, we have rumors of decapitated bodies on horseback, psychic friends driving across state lines, and international espionage rings. Isn't the simplest, most painfully obvious explanation that a woman drowning in humiliating debt who just lost her security clearance and couldn't even get a loan for her daughter's school just wiped her phones, packed a small bag, and walked down a highway to start over?
Occam's razor certainly points to a voluntary disappearance fueled by financial despair. But the reason we are lost in the noise of psychics and spies is because of a profound systemic investigative failure.
Okay, say more about that.
Law enforcement treated those factory reset phones as dead ends. They just threw their hands up. But they aren't dead ends. While police couldn't get a standard geofence warrant, they absolutely could have utilized exigent circumstances.
Okay, let's break that down for the listeners. First, what is a geofence warrant and why couldn't they get one?
A geofence warrant is basically when police ask a judge to draw a virtual circle around a specific location, like the Casillas house, and force companies like Google to hand over the data of every single device that pinged inside that circle during a specific time frame.
It's a digital dragnet.
Exactly. But judges often deny them in missing persons cases unless there is concrete proof a violent crime occurred, because they violate the privacy of innocent neighbors.
So if the judge says no to the G offense, what are exigent circumstances?
Think of it like a hospital emergency room. If a patient comes in with a gunshot wound, the doctors don't make them sit in the waiting room and fill out insurance paperwork. They bypass the bureaucracy because life is on the line.
Right, they just act.
Yeah. In law enforcement, exigent circumstances allow police to bypass standard judicial warrants when someone is in immediate life-threatening danger. They can go directly to app developers, Meta, weather apps, anything tracking background location data, and legally pull the real-time, second-by-second GPS coordinates of Melissa's phone right up until the exact millisecond it was wiped at 1:38 p.m.
Wow. So they didn't need the phone in their physical possession to be on. They could have traced the invisible breadcrumbs for apps were leaving on corporate servers just before the wipe.
Precisely. We wouldn't need to entertain rumors of blue trucks or foreign spies if investigators had simply traced the data she was unknowingly generating that morning.
And because they didn't, the data is just sitting in a server somewhere, unexamined.
Right.
And the family is left grappling with ghosts. That eerie silence is what has settled over this case today. I mean, the financial records show zero bank activity. There are no passport applications, no driver's license changes in any of the 50 states.
Nothing.
Just a devastated, violently divided family begging for a single, solitary sign that she is alive. And, just to show you how chaotic and active this still is, the case files note that right as reports were being compiled recently, investigators were literally receiving jumbled, chaotic, live text messages about the case from unknown numbers. It is a stark reminder that this mystery is still actively unspooling in real time.
Yeah. The book is far from closed. Every new detail just opens a new door to nowhere.
Which brings us to the end of our sources, but leaves you with one final provocative thought to mull over. Melissa Casillas is a thyroid cancer survivor. As we noted at the very beginning, she walked out of that house, leaving almost everything behind, except for exactly a 90-day supply of life-saving, prescription-only medication.
Right.
And we live in a hyper-connected, thoroughly digitized healthcare system.
Yeah, every diagnosis is coded, every prescription is logged, and every pill is tracked across national pharmacy databases.
So how does a person secure specialized prescription-only cancer medication after those initial 90 days run out without leaving a single medical, insurance, or financial footprint anywhere in the country? Did she somehow orchestrate a flawless way to step completely out of the modern grid, or did someone pull her out of it entirely before those 90 days were up?